Okay, now we'll do a cast shadow for a cylinder. So here's the top of my cylinder, that ellipse that we talked about, right? 2 vertical walls. Here's the bottom of my cylinder. And then we'll just clean it up a little bit. It makes the process a lot easier. Okay, here's my ground. Here's my A point, where my sun is up in the sky. Here's my B point. I'm going to bring it down a little bit, where my sun is 360 degrees around my cylinder. And now I have to figure out where my cast shadow is falling. So I can't really go from my A point like I did on the cube because I don't have any corners. I have this ellipse. All right, so rather than figuring out where my sun is crossing past on my top of my cylinder, I have to figure out like where those light rays are just going past the side. It's going to be a lot easier for me to do that starting with the B point because my B point is on the same flat plane as the bottom of my cube. So it's very easy for me to figure out where it's just going past because I'm going to use what's called a tangent line. All right, so we talked about this in class. A tangent line is a line that just passes a curve on one point. All right, so if I was looking at my my cylinder from up above, this is my aerial perspective. Okay, this is my sun rays are just starting to go past it. Here they're all hitting the cylinder. Here's everything that would be in the shadow if my light source is over here. Ignore that, we're over here. So I have to find my tangent. So I'm going to put my ruler on my B point and I'm going to pivot it until it just runs into the edge of my cylinder. So I'm going to refine this line a little bit so it's easier for me to find my tangent. Right, so I'm going to pivot, 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 pivot. Right there is where I just run into the side. So right here is my tangent across the front. Can't find my tangent on the back because I don't know where the rest of my ellipse is. So I'm going to finish out this ellipse. It's going to curve around. So it's going to curve a little bit. Maybe a little bit less. Okay, and now I'm going to find my tangent on the back side. So pivot, 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 pivot. So thinking about where this edge is, my tangent is going to be, I can choose anywhere on this line, but thinking about it, my tangent would be across the other side of my cylinder. So I'm going to choose further to the right where it just still touches. And there's my tangent on the back side. Here's my tangent on the front side. Okay, so these lines are coming out. Now I can go up, bring my A through this point. So these guys are connecting. Not connecting, but they're vertically aligned, just like we talked about on the cube. I'm going to come up, have to pass the front, hit the back wall, because this is on the back side. Red is on the front side. Now I'm going to bring A through that point. I have an intersection right here. I'm going to bring A through my back tangent. I have an intersection right here. And that's the boundary of my cast shadow. This is curved. So that leads me to believe and know that this would be curved. Okay, so I can just really loosely give that a nice even curve. If I wanted to be really, really precise and accurate, I could find the middle, come out, find the very front part, bring A through it, and make my curve. But we don't need to get quite so technical. And now I can just fill in my cast shadow. So my cast shadow comes from up around the back. and I fill all this in. And just like we did before, I'll make it really, really dark, really close to my cylinder. And we'll let it start to fade a little bit as it works its way out from all of that reflected light that we talked about. And there's your cast shadow for a cylinder.